Good morning, all my chicken people. It is a doomy and gloomy and nasty day. I'm gonna get my truck started here. So, meat chickens are at the post office. So, I gotta get the brooder set up real quick and we gotta hit the road. We got about a 10-mile drive into town and get to the post office. It's kind of chilly out, so I wanna try to get them picked up from there as soon as possible. But I gotta get the heat lamps and the waters filled up here in the meat bird brooder. If you haven't seen this video, go back a couple videos and you'll see how we built this. So let's get these waters filled up, get some boards put underneath them, get the heat lamps plugged in and turned on, and we'll be ready to go. So stay tuned. I think we got the whole brooder set up. I ended up adding one more water, 1 gallon water, and 2 more heat lamps because it's currently 40 degrees outside. I guess it's about, my thermometer in here says it's about 50 degrees, but it is nasty outside. So one thing I use is a little heat laser gun to see how hot it is underneath each light. So it's reading 101 degrees underneath that light, 102 underneath this light. It's only 67, 76, 70 underneath these 2 white lights. I might stop at the feed store while I'm in town and grab 2 more red lights. We got 200 chicks, so last time we had this problem, we only had 2 heat lamps. They all piled underneath each other and piled on top of each other trying to stay warm. So since my garage isn't heated, this is probably the worst day you could pick this week to do this. This is probably the coldest morning yet this week. So I think I'm gonna stop at the feed store, grab 2 more 250 watt heat bulbs, and get these 2 heat lamps on a 250 watt bulb. That'll give them 4 heat lamps to get under. That's roughly 50 birds per heat lamp, and they're sitting low enough that that heat is dispersed on the wood chips. But I wanted to get this started and get the wood chips warmed up underneath the heat lamp, so when we do get birds in here, they can get a warm spot pretty quick. So let's head to the post office, go get chicks. Big day for 5 Acre Farms.
We are full steam ahead, guys.
We got a full passenger seat here now. Roughly 275 meat chickens. Ready to go home. Just left the post office. There are always nice people in there. Hopefully all these chicks stayed warm. We've had kind of a cold week, so we'll see. They all sound pretty chirpy and lively, so that makes me feel a little better that they're not all dead. So I know a lot of people this year have been having issues with shipped meat birds because of the colder temperatures, and the demand for chickens is so high that some of these hatcheries are just shipping no matter what, no matter if it's crazy cold out or not. And some people are running into high death losses. We're not. We push our ship dates back here into the end of March, early April, just for this reason. We don't want them shipped too early, so we don't have any issues with them being in the mail. Because we're not exactly the quickest place to ship to from our hatchery. I'll tell you where we buy our chicks from, but they come from up north, and they got several days to get to us. I'm guessing these guys shipped on Wednesday and it's Friday now, so they've had several days in the weather to get to us, but they sound chirpy and lively, so they can survive 2 or 3 days pretty easy on their reserve right after they're hatched. So I'm sure they put some grow gel in there too for them, give them some moisture and something to eat to get them by until they get to us. But let's run by Tractor Supply, grab a couple 250 watt heat bulbs, and get back home as quick as we can and get these guys on heat lamps and fresh water. So I got a 2-pack of 250 watt heat lamps. Shout out to our local Tractor Supply. I think we have one of the best tractor supplies in Kansas. They got some of the best guys, some of the best employees. So manager there is awesome. Assistant manager, they're all great people. So shout out to our local Tractor Supply. You guys always take care of me. So all right, these guys are chirpy, chirpy, chirpy. But I got the heat cranked up. I got their heated seat turned on. They should be getting pretty comfortable now. But so by the time we get home, they can go straight into the brooder, get them some water and some heat. So, all right, we'll see you back at the house. We added in 2 more heat lamps. So I don't know if you guys can see there. We have 4 or 5 250 watt heat lamps. And the only reason we're doing that is because it's cold in here in the garage and I don't want them to get too cold. So I have 4 waters and 5 heat lamps, and underneath each heat lamp it's reading about 100 degrees. So that should be enough space for them to all scatter out and not pile on top of each other. I'm not going to give them food for the first hour or so. I want them to rehydrate. So we keep them off of food for the first hour. I don't put anything in their water. I don't do electrolytes or anything. Just straight good old-fashioned well water. So let's go get the chicks out of the truck. I leave them in the truck until I get everything on because it's nice and toasty in there. So let's go. Gonna cautiously set these guys down. Oh. And I'm gonna take each and every one and dip their beaks. So let's do a quick unboxing real quick here. Probably should have grabbed something better than my pocket knife here. All right, let's open these little peepers up. I am fully mentally prepared for there to not be 100% live chicks in here. There you go. There's a box full of cuteness. Man, they're excited to see something. Alright, let's set up the time lapse and get all these little beaks dipped in water. While I'm unboxing the last box here, I'll do a little talking. So, when it comes to ordering chicks, there's a lot of different places to order meat birds from. Don't call your local chicken dealer and ask them for a meat bird variety because they won't have it. Now, I say that you can eat any chicken. That's not the issue. But if you're raising chickens like these little Cornish crosses, that's what we raise, or Cornish cross. If you guys are wanting a bird specifically designed for meat, you won't get them from your backyard breeder. With that being said, there is a couple breeds that are heritage style that make decent meat bird breeds. But if you're looking for a Red Ranger or a Red Ranger or a Freedom Ranger, something like that, or a Cornish cross or a Cornish rock, a breed like that that's designed specifically for meat, you're not going to find those at your local backyard breeder. The universities that have developed these breeds to grow as fast as they grow only license these breeds to select hatcheries to produce them. That way the general public doesn't have access to breeding them. Now, with that being said, there's a bunch of places to order these. I'll list off a few, but not all of them. This batch personally comes from Town Line Hatchery, and we've been getting chicks from them for a couple years now. I'm not sponsored by them or any hatchery yet. That's a cue for all hatcheries to give us an email. But Meyer Hatchery, Meyer Poultry, Cackle Hatchery, Ideal Hatchery is a good one. Murray McMurray. A lot of these, there's a lot of places that sell meat chickens. Now, they're not all going to be priced the same. So Big Hatchery, that's another new one. We ordered our chicks from them last year. But all in all, we used So Big, and we've ordered them through Orscheln's before. You can go to your local feed store and probably order them through them. They probably get their chicks from one of those I listed. But we continue to use Town Line because we have found that they seem to grow the best and the most consistent. Now, when I say that, I want birds that are all going to kind of end up being the same market weight and kind of have the best will to survive. Even though they all pretty much have the same genetics, I just seem to find that Town Line for us, we've had the best results with. Now, with that being said, their communication isn't necessarily the best. Now, granted, when you order chicks, you have to put in there what week you want them to ship. And I put in this week. Now, in years past, when it hasn't been a chicken shortage, I've always had good luck and good communication. They always send an email with tracking, and then I can come out here and get the brooder ready, and I know when they're going to be at my post office and blah, blah, blah. Well, this year, I didn't get an email from them, so last spring, I ordered from them and didn't get an email from them. And when you're raising these guys, your window to raise them is short. It's only 8 weeks. And so, with that being said, if you're going to have a meat locker butcher your chickens for you, then you're going to have to set your butcher day before you get your chickens. Now, obviously, you'd rather have your chickens and then set your butcher day, but less and less meat lockers are butchering chickens. So, with that being said, the shortage nowadays with chickens, you almost have to have your date set with your locker before you order your chicks. And you want to get that done several months in advance. That way you don't order your chicks and expect to have a locker date available. And next thing you know, you call the locker and they're like, yeah, we can get you in 3 or 4 months. Well, these guys are ready to butcher in 2. So it's not practical for you to take these guys to 3 to 4 months. You just can't do it. You got to have them butchered at 2 to 2.5 months. And so you want to get that Get everything, all your dates squared away, and do it plenty ahead of time. Now, if you're only doing 5 or 10, they might be able to squeeze you in a little easier than if you're doing a couple hundred. But, the last chick. All right, every one of them has their beak dip now. So you want to make sure you get all your dates set and everything ready to go before you order several months in advance. Now, like I said, we order from Town Line. I probably need to try some other places, but when it comes to bottom dollar, we raise these for customers and we got to make money on them. So we got to have the chicks as cheap as possible in order to get the top dollar on return. The cheaper I can get the chicks, the less I can charge my customers. And you know, it's not an expensive cut of meat to begin with when you're raising them on pasture and with feed prices. We can't raise them for what the stores can raise them for, what the big guys can. So we got to charge more. And so the cheaper we can get them from the hatchery, the better. And Town Line and So Big are probably the two cheapest. Now, maybe that's the trade-off of their subpar communication skills. But I think Town Line for us in years past has been our best option. The birds usually grow really well. They're usually pretty hardy. And we've been very pleased with the quality over the years. So Big birds were fine. I just seem to have a little more inconsistency with the average. When it came down to 8 weeks, I had a lot of 3-pounders and a lot of 6-pounders. Like, the range was huge between the same breed. Some were 3, some were 6. With these guys, I usually have about a 5-pound average, which is what you're shooting for on a meat bird, is a dressed carcass, whole bird, 5 pounds at 8 weeks. That's kind of what industry standards is with a Cornish cross. Now, there's a lot of different breeds you can choose, and we decided Cornish cross is the best bang for the buck. And I didn't really decide that. That's statistically speaking, best bang for your buck is the Cornish cross. Their feed conversion to weight gain is better than any other breed. So we went with the Cornish cross, and we're probably going to stick with the Cornish cross for a long time. Now, they're not quite as hardy as like a Red Ranger or a heritage breed, but we raised the Freedom Rangers one year, and I feel like the quality of the meat was comparable. Everything was comparable. They seemed to be a little more hardy. The biggest thing that pissed me off with Red Rangers, Freedom Rangers, Red Rangers, whatever you want to call them, was that they take 3 more weeks. So when you're taking care of 250 of them or 200 of them, 3 weeks, you're just pissed off the last 3 weeks because you could have been done at 8 weeks instead of 12 weeks. So we went back to Cornish cross, figured out how to make them work, and we've been happy with that choice ever since. So let me grab the camera and show you what these guys look like. So they're all gonna fight for their spot under the heat lamp until they get their body temperature back up. There's several of them that are out running around getting drinks, which is what we want. We want them to be good and hydrated. There's a couple in here that look kind of weak. I'll expect to probably lose 1 or 2 more. There were 4 or 5 that didn't make the trip here, which is not uncommon, especially with the weather we've had this week. It's been a lot colder at night. So, but all in all, they seem to be getting around and doing all right. They're all hanging out at the waters. That water over there's full. They're all trying to get warm. So, like I said, there's a couple of them that I'll expect to lose here that aren't quite as eager as the rest of them. But most hatcheries will send you usually one extra per 25. And so if I think we lost, dead on arrival, maybe 6 that didn't make the trip here. And so, and I'm expecting to lose maybe 2 or 3 more in the next couple days. So it'll even out to whatever number you ordered usually. That's just part of shipping chicks. Unless you're picking up directly from the hatchery, you're probably gonna lose some. Let's get their feeders set up. I went ahead and put an old feed sack in here. This just gives them a little more surface area to find some food. That way they're not all packed over the feeders. These guys are already hungry. It's like they know what they're doing. As soon as I put this feed sack in here, they all came running. You're going to have obviously some waste when you do this, but just want them to figure out what food is first. I just wanted to figure out what food is first before I limit them just to the feeder. And I got the feeders all the way down to the ground. In about a couple days I'll start raising them up a little bit. Make sure everything around the feeder is full. Like I said, this is my first time using this brooder, so we'll see how it works out. I think it will, just by the way the chicks are reacting to everything. Like I said, we'll obviously lose one here and there first couple days just from the stress, and hopefully they shipped them on Wednesday and we got them today on Friday. Hopefully they didn't ship them on Monday and we got them today on Friday. I wouldn't assume that'd be the case, but usually they get here in 2 days. But yep, there's a couple of them already finding the food, and once they figure out what the food is and where the water is, they will start thriving and they will grow fast. One thing I forgot to mention with any type of brooder, meat chicken brooder, is we like to start with a deep bedding. And so this bedding is super fine wood chips. Obviously I'd like to see them finer than that, but fine wood chips is what you want. And we're currently about, I don't know, 5 to 6 inches deep. We can always add more. You want a deep bedding so they can scratch around and keep their manure load off the top. But yeah, fine wood chips. We don't put anything in our water. It's just straight well water. And then the food we feed them is 22% broiler feed we get at our local co-op. So this is what we feed our chicks, 22% broiler starter. It is a type C medicated feed, which means it has a coccidiostat in it. Amprolium, that's your coccidiostat. But the protein is 22%. We get ours from Iuka Feed, which you can find a lot of places in south central Kansas. It's our local feed mill. But yep, they'll stay on this feed their whole life, from today all the way to 8 weeks. And it'll make them grow fast. So So, well, I think we're going to wrap up this video. I'm going to keep an eye on these guys for a little while longer. We got a lot of content coming up here in the future, so stick around on 5 Acre Farms YouTube channel. Like and subscribe so you guys can see all the progress that goes into this. We got 3 weeks in here and then outside to the grass, but we are offering a butcher class here on the farm. So if you guys want to come learn how to butcher your own chickens, raise your own chickens, the whole process, go over to our Facebook page, 5 Acre Farms, send us a message, learn how to get here and learn how to butcher and grow your own food. So until next time, guys, we'll